Director Teresa, will you lead us in the prayer?
Dear Lord, we're so thankful for many blessings, especially the opportunity to serve on this board, serve this community. Please help us to make good decisions that honor you, that honor our commitment to integrity and our fiduciary responsibility. Let us be civil tonight, ever mindful of the love that you've shown us. Please bless our men and women in uniform. Bless our great nation. And we say this name in Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Mr. Teresa, pledge of allegiance.
Face the flag, repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. All right, announcement of a quorum. Secretary, I believe we have a quorum.
Yes, we do.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President, could I ask if we just confirm that Director Miller can both hear us and be heard so that he's being counted as a member of the quorum?
Very well.
Mark, did you hear that question?
Yes, what was the question?
Can you hear us so that they can determine whether or not there's a quorum?
Yes, I can hear y'all fine.
Thank you, sir.
All right. All right, so we have a quorum. And then for everyone, audio and video recorders are in use. Please silence all cell phones. So if anyone wants to address the board, there's a sign-up sheet right back there. I'd ask you that you sign up for the agenda item that you would like to address. There's also an open forum to be able to address at the end. When we get to these agenda items, you will have 3 minutes to talk about what you would like to give input to. I will count down. I'll let you know when we get to 1 minute and 30 seconds after that, and then your time's up. All right. So the first agenda item is the approval of the minutes and transcripts. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at the meeting minutes? Any changes? All right.
President, I make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Second.
Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. Motion passes. Got to remember. Thank you, Mark. Approval of memberships. So in March, we had 338 new memberships, 300 canceled memberships, and 3 transfers. Do I have a motion to approve the memberships as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion passes. All right, unfinished business. Then we will go to the after-hours turn-on fee adjustment. Dr. Peavy.
Yes, sir. This at the last board meeting with the explanation for the increase in the fees. And we approved that at that time. We just wanted to give an update that it's put in place in the policy.
Very well. All right. Any questions from the board? Very good. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
New business under finance, the review of the March 2021 financials. Dr. Peavy?
Yes, sir. We met with yourself and Secretary Treasurer Kegel on Thursday, went through these end of March financials. And we will present those for approval tonight.
Okay. Anybody have to take a chance at take a look at the financials? All right. Do I have a motion to approve as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Yes, sir. Closer. All right. Now I'll get. All right. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Motion passes. Next item is the 2020 Consolidated Financial Audit Presentation. Ms. McAllister.
Yeah.
Better?
Try it again.
No? Okay. Good evening.
There you go.
Thank you for having me here. It's good to see the board again. I enjoyed participating in the board training. I guess that was almost a month ago at this point. We did complete the audit for the fiscal year 2020, which, as we all know, was a very exciting, wild year. We did issue an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance we can provide. We did wrap up the audit in March, but we were just not in enough time to present at the March meeting, so I'm here tonight. Overview, a quick financial overview for your balance sheet. You have approximately $72 million in overall assets. $12 million of that is liquid in cash, and $50 million of that is within your capital, your utility plant and equipment. As far as your liabilities, you have approximately $22 million in liabilities. $13 million of that is your pension plan, and you have approximately long-term debt payable of about $7 million. Overall, your income was strong for this year over the prior year. It was about $1.4 million in net operating income as compared to $1.3 million in the prior year. Is in relation to your pension plan, I always like to point out the funding level of the pension plan. The overall pension liability as of the end of the year was approximately $23 million, and there was $10 million in accumulated assets to fund that liability. Which is how you get to the net $13 million liability, which is outstanding on that. And you do have approximately a $1 million funding commitment for that within fiscal year 21. Otherwise, we have no other findings to report as in conjunction with the audit. Nothing that else came to our attention that we would want to report to those charged with governance, our board here tonight. Also, there were no other changes within your financial statements, no new disclosures. There's not any accounting level changes. All of those changes were postponed during 2020 to have us allow us extra time to deal with the COVID situation, but there will be upcoming changes in 2022 in regards to lease accounting, which we'll talk about next year. Otherwise, I welcome any questions you may have in regards to the audit.
Any questions from the board? Well, again, as we all, you trained us up well during the board training and used this as a template. So thank you for that as well.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the 2020 consolidated audit financial statements as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I'd just like to mention that this good audit report is not the fault of the board. It's the fault of these people right here, the good employees we've got who do such a great job. I want to thank them. Continue to make us very profitable. Very grateful. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? All right. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes. Rotary Club donation. This is Dr. Peavy. And go ahead.
Going to work with the board on these presentations as well as the donation presidents.
Okay.
She has the certificates and she has the check, I believe, is behind you.
It is. It is. So, so that I give a little bit background.
Yes, please.
So the board members, we've expressed a desire for always improving our board training. We've been doing this now. This will be the third year consecutively. And we went through a full day of training. I would, again, like to thank our board members who gave up an entire day of their work or their life or their golf to continue to be in this board training. So thank you so much for that. So in March, we held a training session with Mr. Kircher. He's a Rotary Leadership Institute certified facilitator. And we also had this same training with our legal counsel, Mr. Dunaway down here. We also had it with Kristen McAllister, which is our auditor, and with our insurance agent, Mr. Grace. So the board had a plethora of areas to get more training and to learn all about them. The topics included guidance on the board governance, ethics, information about corporate structure, legal responsibility, training on key points on financial reports that the board should know. So each board in attendance of the trainings awarded a certificate of completion, signifying their dedication and competency to serve on the Holly Navarre Water System as a member of our board. So with that said, I believe, Ted, you were going to give out these certificates to the individual board members.
Can I ask Ms. Miller to help me with this?
Absolutely. And, yes, ma'am. Where would you like us? Do you want to just, we good here, or you want us moving somewhere?
Well, we're going to do a photo in front of the flag.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Good choice.
Yes, sir.
Director Joe Campbell. Director Bill Hill.
Right here.
Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you.
And Director Mark Miller is on spot. He'll be here shortly.
Okay, great.
You can put us up here. He sits here.
Oh, great.
Great, thank you. So, thank you, Ted. And so in lieu of accepting a fee, both Ted, Will, they provided their time here to do this board training in a request for a donation to Hand Wash. And I will let Ted give some overview of that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. We agreed to volunteer our time to come out here and spend the day with you all, and we very much appreciate your investment in yourselves as a board, and also your willingness to contribute to our project down in Haiti. The Hand Wash project it's a combination of the Rotary Foundation, Rotary clubs around the world, the World Bank, and a number of other organizations. We have a goal of having potable water to the entire country of Haiti by 2030. It's hard to believe that you've got a country in the world that doesn't have a complete water system, and Haiti does not. And your contribution will go toward a project in a province called Pinyang, where we're going to actually stand up a water system and assist a water system there. So thank you for your willingness to do that. Will's got someone to introduce, and I do too as well from the Rotary world we'd like to introduce to you.
Yeah, thank you, Ted, and thank you, Mr. President and the board members for allowing us to be a part of both your training and also then have this come. I think it's fitting that a water board is actually helping another country create a water system. So we appreciate that and very much honor you on that. I want to introduce my club president. The Cordova Rotary is Gian Clark, and he's here to accept that along with our district governor designee.
Yes, our Rotary district spans from Perdido Key to nearly Gainesville, and Dan Solger, who is from the Navarre Rotary Club, will be district governor in roughly a year. So Dan's here also to accept your gift to our foundation.
Well, and again, thank you so much. And with that, again, your ability to come out here and train us and keep us in a central location so that we do not have to go and travel and everything like that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. No, thank you. I mean, that was an excellent training. Is there anything else you want to? All right. All right, next item up is the water and sewer provision policy. Dr. Peavy.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, the last 5 months, we had realized that we didn't have a consistent firm policy in writing. So what I'd like to do is ask Mr. Clinton Wills, our General Manager of Operation and Maintenance, to talk a little bit about this so that we can explain why we needed the policy to begin with and what the policy consists of. So, Mr. Wills.
We basically get a lot of requests for different uses of water and wastewater. And we haven't had a firm policy on our uses of potable water versus non-potable and proper uses of sewer connections. So this document that's been put together with customer service, Corey, our engineer, myself, and legal counsel have reviewed, and weighed in on this. We'd like y'all to draft this policy for us so that it'll give us some clarity on, or guidance, or help us give guidance to the customer on what is legal and what is not. That's basically it in a nutshell.
Yes, Mr. President, we needed to have more consistency in the policies on the type of water services, sewer services, and to whom we can provide that to. So that's what this document does, this is clarity for staff, customer service, and our customers out there. So we'd ask the board to consider.
It's really for the, when people come in, it's not a normal request for service.
Correct.
We can handle normal requests, this stuff does not pop up once every couple of years, and we have to go back, try to find a document where we help somebody, set up service or deny them service, and try to figure it out. So it's like split up that process.
And the big issue is we have a condition in our water use permit that limits our ability to provide people with non-potable use of water.
Okay. All right. Has the board had a chance to take a look at this?
Mr. President, I only have one question. I've already talked to the CEO. If we could add that when the engineer or the CEO makes an exception to policy, that it be back to the member in writing, so that you don't get to the handshake sort of thing. I don't know.
But it's documented, any results or any feedback.
It just says in here that they will provide it, but I'd ask that they add that it's in writing, so there's a historical, handshake deals. Other than that,
So you're saying what you want us to tell the member is that we made an exception in this case? Is that what you're saying?
that for whatever reason, we got right. That it,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. So if our policy says this, but in this case, we're going to make an exception, that it's in writing back to the members, so that the future boards or future, Clint's been here quite a while, so he knows it all.
Great. All right. Do I have a motion then to approve, actually, Director Campbell, do you want to make a motion with your
Approve as
changes?
written, adding with the proviso of the exception will be provided.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
Aye.
Motion carries. Organizational structure update. Dr. Peavy.
Mr. President, again, this was, we had numerous discussions in both board meetings, special and open meetings, regarding the need for the organization based upon HR, based upon finance, and then more so procurement policies. So what I had told the board is that we were going to go out and find those, place those positions in the organizational chart, and then from that, we'll continue to meet demands and demands of the budget so that we fall within what our budget approval has been for this year. So it's just a note.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any questions from the board? All right. The next item is the Finance Committee updates. Secretary Thiel.
Okay, we had the first meeting of the Finance Committee this past Thursday. And the big outcome of that was we probably decided that it wasn't necessary to have a meeting monthly with only by exception, and if there was other things that come up from the projects. So I'm going to turn it over to each of the subcommittees to see if they have anything to bring before the board at this particular meeting. Mr. Teresa, Director
Nothing
Teresa
at this time, sir.
from Eglin. Capital Improvements, Joe Campbell.
It's progressing as scheduled. 27th is for the initial bids, and then we'll have a meeting, the committee after that, back once the bids are in.
Okay, excuse me, I probably need to go over what these were. The Eglin project is a project to pump wastewater up on the Eglin Reservation to several ribs injection points. Okay, that's a big, expensive item that's going to be done over the next 5 years. Is that correct?
Oh, it'll be done by the end of 2022 or the first quarter of 2023.
So that'll alleviate some of the shortfalls we've had of having to pump excess water in other places that we want to not do anymore. Capital improvements is our long-term capital projects that's being overseen by Director Campbell. Mr. Miller, or Director Miller has the bonds. Mark, do you have anything from the bonds?
No, I don't have anything to report. I think the intent of the bond committee is once we identify our financial needs, then we're going to look at what the options are to finance those. So I think we will be meeting soon.
Okay, and the budget committee, that's basically the same people on that as on the finance committee overall, so I'll let President Kennedy discuss
Thanks, sir.
if he has anything.
No, I mean, Secretary Thiel and I, we met with the staff and reviewed the budget to actuals, and there were nothing outstanding, so nothing exciting to report.
Okay, that's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. All right, we are on to the club at Hidden Creek. So I know we have a big group here. Before we get started, those that have signed up, all right, so what we'll do is we'll bring up the agenda item. I will call your name, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak on the issue, and I'll be timing you. And then like I said, I'll let you know when you're at 1 minute and 30 seconds out. The biggest thing, and I don't suspect this is going to be a problem, is I ask that you guys respect this area just as much as you have the same courtesy and respect as you do on the golf course. And I can tell that you guys that men and women here are not going to be a problem about that. So our next agenda here is the company update.
Last 3 months ago, looking at the various options, i.e. to sell the club, maintain the club, and then that would turn into whether we would self-manage or look for a third-party contractor. On the 13th of this month, we held that meeting here with the board members. I gave the various options and the presentations. And all that is left at this point is for the board to determine which direction they'd like to go.
Okay.
What was your recommendation?
The recommendation was to maintain the club at this point in time because of the market conditions, but self-manage and move forward with what we do.
Okay. All right. So, all right. So the first person on the I'm sorry, Reese. Reese, please. Yes, sir. And so to the podium, name and address. And then we're interested in your public input.
My name is Reese Howell. I'm a member, I guess I'm a member until the end of this month at Hidden Creek, and also a homeowner in Hidden Creek. And just joined the golf course, a year ago. Enjoyed it a lot. My son joined at the same time. We purchased a house out there that he's been living in, and met a lot of, I thought it was great being a member there. Met a lot of nice people, and there are a lot of groups with members that play where it's very easy, to play, and went from playing, maybe 4 or 5 times in a year to playing, multiple times in a week. And certainly disappointed. I mean, the letter I got, I'd like to understand what the plan is. I just got a letter basically saying at the end of this month, you're no longer welcome here. And I think it's very sad. I got to know people out there. I was planning to build a house on the golf course. My wife and I talked about that, and right now it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, why would I live on a golf course I can't join? I'm concerned that property values. I sold the house, or put the house up for sale that I own out there, and I just can't imagine that this is good for anybody, the golfers, the people who own property in that neighborhood, surrounding communities. I don't see how this works, and I cannot believe that this is going to be a revenue improvement for the golf course.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Dwayne?
Good evening, everyone, board. I'm Dwayne Cowan. I also live at Hidden Creek. I am 10 days away from being a member. My main concern, I'm over the letter. I'm over not being able to play, not feeling welcome. I have choices to golf around here. This is the Florida Panhandle. I have plenty of choices to golf, as do all the other members, and I think most of us will take advantage of that, which brings me to my concern of the course. I'm with Reese. I've done some research since we started getting the letters. A golf course closing impacts home values somewhere between 10 to 30%. That's a huge investment. I'm not mad about golf anymore. Like I said, I can do that anytime. I'm mad about my home value maybe being taken away. Excuse me, cold today. So, and part of that is some of the decisions I'm heard. And I think we're going the wrong way. We haven't had a PGA professional at the golf course since Jack left, working on what, 2 years? We just lost a damn good superintendent and a large part of his staff who went to our competition down the road with a bunch of your members. And so I see we're going the wrong direction. You're not bringing back a large part of those members. They're not coming back. They're not going to pay. They're not, whether you can reinstate membership, they're not coming back. They're going to go to other choices. I don't see how you're going to make up all those lost members. Okay, I live across the golf course. Golf course was closed all day last Saturday. Guess what page kept the water going? You kept the lights on. Those member dues, that what you got left. It was closed all day Thursday. It was closed half of this Saturday, and Sunday it was closed. So, the decision I heard earlier, the recommendation, that scares me now. I was coming here with some hope. Now I'm scared that my home value is going to take a tumble and that I need to find some way to protect myself. I'm done. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Ed Burke.
My name is Ed Burke. I live on PGA Boulevard. I'm a member of the club for 15 years. I don't think anybody in here understood what you were saying. You're going to continue status quo. What is status quo? Are you deliberately trying to run the club into the ground? Because that's what's occurring. You've got no restaurant, you've got no bar, and now you've got angry members. And the other point is a very valid one, and I take it quite personally, like everybody else here. You're going to destroy the value of my home. You're taking money right out of my pocket. And you're going to be seeing for sale signs all around that golf course because of the way you're running this place. I don't know what kind of experience you have. I am talking to you. What kind of experience you have running a golf course, or what kind of experience you have even in management. But it seems it's a key element of business. You try to make your customers happy. You're trying to run your customers out of the place. And in the process, you're also making a lot of other residents very angry. And that's all I've got to say. And you didn't say anything as far as, what's your plan? What are you going to do? Tell us what your plan is.
Mr. Burke, just address the board here and not the CEO. We understand
Okay.
that. Yes, sir.
Then you can talk to the CEO for me.
Yeah, and again,
I'm pretty sure you
I've
can
heard
hear
it
me.
twice.
I'm angry. Everybody in the room is angry. And you should be angry because you live on the golf course and your property values are going to be affected by this too.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Chuck Poon?
My name is Chuck Pullman. I live at 2956 PGA Boulevard. I have a twofold problem. I'm a member of the golf club, and I live on the golf course. And I just see what we're talking about tonight is going in the wrong direction unless you can come and tell us as members what you're going to do. We all have decisions to make in our life. Most of us are retired. We've been in business just like you're in business today. And we've made business decisions. And I understand about business decisions. But You have to be competitive. If you're going to keep this course open, you have to be competitive. And running the members away is not being competitive. You're running away guaranteed money, monthly income that comes into this club every month. I've been a member since 1996 and a member of the MGA. Nobody does everything right. We already know that. But let me give you some numbers. I don't think it's been about 8 years since I've had a last increase from the club on my membership. And I just have a single membership. My wife has said that she wants to learn how to play golf. Okay, that means it's going to be an increased membership because we're going to go to a family membership. But when I said stay competitive with surrounding courses around here, you can go right down the road to Tiger Point, and they're planning to just give a full membership for everybody in your family, your brothers, your sisters, your mother, your father, including cart. So if that's the right information I'm passing on to you, you need to check it out because that's your competition. If we have 100 members here at Hidden Creek, and you raised it, say, $100 a month per member, that's going to generate probably $10,000 a month, if that's the right numbers. I don't know what the right numbers are. And it could generate up to $120,000 in new revenue for the club each year. In the same token, you could raise your green fees, maybe $10, $12 a person. And I'm sure you've thought of this, and I'm sure everybody's discussed it. But if you raised it $10 a person, and people playing golf, I mean, that's $1,000 a day times 30 days if we don't have any bad weather like we've had recently. I mean, that's $30,000 a month, and times 12, $360,000 in revenue. Total, you're talking about $480,000. That's a lot of money to come in. I don't know. I don't see the bottom line numbers of the golf club. My sources tell me you're losing $150,000 a year. Several years ago, the board said if they lost up to $300,000 a year, that would be fine. They could handle it. Maybe it's more than $300,000. Maybe it's not $150,000. I don't know what it is. But running the membership away is not the way to go. We all expect an increase that's reasonable, but there's plenty of competition around the surrounding areas that people will go to. I know I will go to it. I have a twofold problem. I live on the golf course, and I'm a member at Hidden Creek. And I need not to have my house prices go down because you decided you're going to close it and make it a spray field. I don't want that to happen. And we just need to come together and do the right thing. There's a lot of people you're going to affect if you don't do the right thing. And it'll be not just the people who live on the golf course. It's going to be the people of Holly by the Sea. So there's got to be an understanding that you've got to explain today and the next few months what you're going to do. And it needs to be clearer than having these emails or talks or these letters coming out and we're all confused. Very upsetting to me as a homeowner and as a member of Hidden Creek. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Morris? Mr. Greg? Is there a Greg?
Oh, sorry, I signed in.
Oh, you're just signing in? Not a problem. But you're here.
Yes.
2822. My hand, I can't read that. No, sir, you good? Thank you. Is that Bobby? Oh, hey, Bobby. Okay, thank you, sir. Roger Dickey?
I did the same. I just.
Okay, that's right. Gotcha. Gentlemen. Mr. Goulet.
William Goulet, 8168 Torres Street, Navarre, Florida. I got a couple questions because I haven't been on the board, so I have questions. I know we had the Cashes were interested in purchasing a course, and the board approved to continue negotiations with them. And then all of a sudden, the Cashes aren't going to buy the course, and they got their earnest money back. Can the board explain to the room and myself what happened with the negotiations or what fell through?
No, sir. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day,
I think we can say, though, that they didn't meet any of the established requirements that the previous board had established.
that's a good point. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, Will, can I say that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Has the board thought about possibly going back to them and asking if they're still interested in purchasing it?
No, sir. I mean, ultimately, we're now, again, on that issue today, we're going to be discussing just the agenda item. Are we going to keep it? Or are we going to sell it? So not whether or not we're going to go back and ask for somebody to buy, to do it. So.
All right.
Yeah, well, none of the offers that we received were acceptable, met the minimum requirements that we had established. Therefore, I think the option of selling it at this point to one of the buyers who put a bid on it is off the table. Now, we may look to sell it in the future, but, I'm at least leaning toward getting the financials in better shape because it's worth what the income it generates.
Right. Well, back in 2019, when we did an analysis of what the golf course was costing the water system based to what it was bringing into the water system, and when we purchased this originally was protect the spray field for hauling of our water system because we had no other options. 2.5 years, we have an option to go to Eglin. They should be operational, I believe, if everything goes as planned. And I think that should definitely be a precursor to trying to find other options for the golf course to be able to maintain as itself. Okay, currently right now is the last time we were looking at everything. It was basically for the 9,300 sewer providers we're providing to. It might be 9,400 now. I'm not sure. It was basically $6 a month of their bill was help supporting the golf course for the spray field, and with 17,000 members of the water system, of that portion of the members, they were having to offset the cost of the spray field by using the golf course. Now, when the rib system's operational with Eglin, it's not going to be needed anymore.
I'm going to ask that question of the engineers because the answer we're getting is that is not a true statement.
It's never been contemplated that the golf course would be taken out of the inventory.
Right. Sorry. So that the spray field will be needed.
It's always been part
Right.
of it.
Even with the rib,
Correct.
it will always be needed as a spray field.
That's correct.
Right.
I'm not saying it wouldn't be needed, but I'm just saying it wouldn't be needed as the way it's set up right now.
And I believe that's going to be discussed.
Is that
when we
correct?
Get to that, correct? Yeah.
Basically for overflows, what would be
It-
needed for.
Actually, I believe it. Well, we'll get to that, but yes. sir.
Okay.
We will need it.
All right. So here's my only question. We got that all out. 2 years ago, the board passed a code of conduct resolution. This resolution said that the board were not involved in management of hauling of our water system or its subsidiaries. Section 6 of this code states that no member of the board shall directly or indirectly benefit from service on the board. This resolution and votes from Mr. Teresa, Mr. Miller, and Mr. Kennedy. In my assertion that the members who live on the golf course have a business relationship with the golf course properties or have a conflict in interest regarding the rates charged to play golf and any potential disposal of the golf course property by hauling of our water system. These members directly benefit financially from these issues and according to the Board of Conduct must immediately disclose their conflict and discussion regarding their conflict is held. So, of the board members, who lives at Holly by the Sea? Show of hands. Joe? Okay. Of the board members, how many are members of the golf course? Okay. So, in lieu of this, there's 2 board members that can actually make decisions on the golf course. That'd be Mark and James, because you have conflict of interest. Okay. So I just want that to be stated on the record. There's conflict of interest on this. Now, I would like to see the golf course thrive. I'd like to see it benefit. And when we closed the restaurant down, we saved over $250,000 a year because we weren't running it properly. As far as the loss at the golf course occurs monthly and yearly, when we shut it down 2019 for COVID-19, we actually got $150,000 in COVID money. The golf course was profitable that year, the first time in 10 years, I believe. So, as a board, I hope you're able to figure something out so we can keep the golf course, but also with the 9,300 members, an aspect that are paying additional $6 a month on their sewer bill for a golf course. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Scruggs?
My name is Daniel Scruggs, live at 2310 Crescentwood Road. We have many grievances we'd like to file with the board, but how do we do that? Because many people come up here and speak, goes one ear out the other. And there's 4 of you up here that got the special deals for your golf, and you don't care about the rest of the members. Well, what about the members that have been here for 7 years, 6 years, 15 years, loyally paying our dues to play golf? Not all of us play from your 8:30, 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock prime time, but we're all getting kicked to the curb. You know, I work for a living. If I get to play golf, it's 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But yet I'm getting kicked to the curb after 6, 7 years of loyalty of paying it my dues. It's not even right. There's 4 of you up there that have memberships. This, whatever you do is not going to affect you, but you get 5 years, 10 years, 2 years. You know, I signed a 1-year contract under Jack Lowry, and I was told my contract renews on January the 1st every year. Now, I kind of find out between this management you fired, or this management you fired, or that management you fired, I'm just a monthly customer. After 7 years, I'm just a monthly customer? I mean, come on. When you people weren't making money, we were still paying. And now you want to kick us out of the curb? You know, I don't eat up your 9 to 12 tee times that you could sell for $70. If I'm lucky, I get to play at 12, 1 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And now all of a sudden I'm being told I'm not welcome at Hidden Creek. That's wrong. Every one of you know that's wrong. Okay? I hope y'all can live with yourselves. Have a great night.
Thank you, sir.
Daniel, I want to make sure you understand. I don't know if anybody in this board has got special treatment because we're on this board.
I didn't say you got special treatment.
Yeah, you
He's got a
did.
5-year contract. He's got a 5-year contract. They're not losing golf over. We are.
Well, you said 4 of us. Take it since I am a month-to-month member, just
So you
like
got
you.
stuck to be a month to month after your 5 years too.
After
You're
I
the
lived
same
in a
boat with
couple
me.
years, but
You're in the same boat with me.
I just want to make sure everybody understands.
Thank you. Thank you,
There's
Mr.
no pro.
Thank you, sir. All right, so,
I'd like to speak, Mr. President, if I may.
well, before we go, I just want to check, anyone else from the public? Yes, sir.
Paul's back.
Yeah,
All right, signed up, maybe I signed up wrong.
I probably can't read, so.
And my name is Paul Bashevsky, 7092 Summit Drive. Not to throw fire on or gasoline on the fire. What you guys are doing in Haiti, I think is absolutely wonderful. And from what I understood, and please correct me if I'm wrong, and I hate to go over my 130 or a 3-minute thing, but there was training that was involved with all of you for that?
Yes, sir.
How many of you, raise of hand, got a certificate? Because I didn't see everybody receive that.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
How many got the
You
certificate?
guys went into training, and then we donated $5,000. James, where's your certificate?
Wasn't able to make it.
Joe, where's your certificate?
I received mine.
Shouldn't that have been something mandatory that all of y'all went through before we all spent our money?
Yeah.
Not your money. Our money. The water company is owned by its members. Shouldn't have been mandatory that we all went? I mean, it's a great cause. I mean, please don't get me wrong. But from what I understand, there's board members here that haven't been, and I have not been here for meetings, board members that haven't been here for months and months and months on end for votes. Yay, nay? Mike, you're shaking your head yes to me. Correct?
Well,
I'll just leave it at that. But it's a great cause. We all thank you, but I'm sure thinking this should be a team effort, and those that are not on the team, there's a door right there that says Holly Navarre Water exit.
Thank you, sir. Excellent. Any further comments? All right. Yes, sir. Name and address.
Brian Hawley, 6912 Leisure Street, Hawley by the Sea. I just wanted to point out that when the club closed down during the pandemic, the way I would have saw it, that pretty much gave every member if they wanted to choose to end their membership, because that was a breach of the contract also. But we stuck with the golf course. We stuck with them all the way through the pandemic. So I'm pretty sure that would have had an impact. But apparently, getting a letter saying a dear valued customer when that was just a slap in the face. So I just wanted to point that out. We stuck by you. Now you guys don't want to stick by us. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you, public, for your input. Now,
So I do have some clarifying questions.
All right.
So your recommendation is to maintain the course with the spray field in the self-managed mode. Okay, so we did get no bids or no qualifying bids, offers. So, and we do need the spray field that the golf course sits on in perpetuity is what I hear the engineers and the staff say, right? So let's say that we did get an offer that was mildly acceptable and met all those courses. But right now it has to be a spray field, have to get first refusal, have to get, what's the other thing?
must remain a golf course.
Must remain a golf course, and that was established by the previous board, right? So let's say we did get some amount. What would it cost to take the spray field and put it somewhere else? Because we still need that capability.
If in fact you could find the property, 160 acres, it would cost you, Phil, correct me if I'm wrong, between $8.5 and $10 million if you could find the property.
That's probably a little bit high. But the problem, of course, Joe, is that you can't find 160 acres on this side of the body
Got
of
it.
water. that we
So,
have.
so this is the asset for the water system to dispose of their effluent. That's where I'm going.
Yeah.
So if the golf course closes, you're not recommending that, but if it does, what would it cost? And I've asked this several times, and I think James asked this back when the last board was at, just to maintain the spray field out there with the irrigation system that needs to be maintained and replaced, with the mowing, with the insurance, like James pointed out. What does that cost to the water system, just as a spray field?
The last time.
You briefed us the other day. What was that? That was
Between $19,000 and $20,000.
right. So in this water board, in this budget was $10,000 a month. Okay, so in reality, if there wasn't a golf course, operations, the spray field would still cost us $9,000 more a month than we're paying.
And let me clarify one thing there, Joe. Remember that the $19,000 to $20,000 also has in it costs to maintain the building so that it at least just doesn't deteriorate. So if you were going to close the course down, you would think that you would dispose of the buildings as they would.
That was a minimum cost, wasn't it, Phil? Was it 600? Trying to remember the numbers, I don't have the facts.
On the building part?
600.
I can't remember, James. There was power money in there and some.
Or 600, 1,100, so I want to say 1,700. So it was a combination of about 3,400.
So I guess my point going forward is this is a business decision for the Holly Navarre water system to maintain a spray field. The fact there's a golf course on it is really mocknix. Because we're paying less than, so saying $6 of everybody's fees goes towards maintaining this golf course is not quite true. I'm just trying to get that in my mind. So we are actually maintaining it for less with the golf course operation than if it was just a spray field.
To summarize what you're saying is we're maintaining our asset as a spray field for less with a golf course on it. Is that what you're saying?
That's, in my common sense approach, am I seeing that right?
Yeah. I mean, any other?
Yeah, may I speak now?
Yes, sir.
One question?
No, sir. Hang on one second. I do
The
that.
angst you see out here is the same angst this monthly member has. The communication was so poor that you couldn't help but feel like you'd been kicked to the curb, number one. Number two, now we're sitting here, asked the CEO for a plan after 90 days. There are plans in works, and we're gonna sit here and not communicate one iota of information to these people out here about what's going on. We're gonna cover ourselves in a foxhole and wait till all the artillery sales go over and then come out of our mouths. Now, doggone it, why can't we tell them what the plans are? There is a plan in work. I don't agree with the plan in terms of the numbers, but I have provided clear data about what I think we should be charging. We should be competitive with our competitor, Tiger Point. Having said that, I'll leave it at that because I've said too much. Reese asked me on the golf course one day, said, well, if you can't run a golf course as easy as it is to run a golf course, how can you run a water company? And I said, it's a hell of a lot easier running a water company when you've got experts like these down here that know what they're doing than trying to run a golf course without any expertise. Now, I'm calling on this board because I'm leaving. I'm leaving this town.
Here would be my reply.
Just, you let me finish, okay, James, please. I'm asking this board to ensure me and all these people out here that we're going to get professional people running this course. I am so disappointed that the two folks over here who I hope were going to be the professionals coming in here to manage this course, so excited that fell apart, that we're now back to self-managing. And if you don't know what the definition of crazy is, it's that doing the same damn thing time after time and determining you're going to have different results. So I'm asking you, I'm begging this board to get some professional help for the CEO. He cannot run the golf course. He knows what's going on in water. He needs experts to do that. Now, the last thing I'm going to say as a board member, other than thank all of you, all of our water system employees and Messi and our good golf course people out there that make our experience a good one. Thank you. God love you for all that you do. It made my life. I don't have to worry about my wife turning on a tap. We're not on sewer, but I know she could flush the toilet easy. You make it easy for us. Now, my point is, there was a time when these boards would be operators every day. Go down, do personnel things, make changes. We are policy and strategy people. But the pendulum is fallen from a strong board doing everything that they shouldn't to the point that we've got a strong CEO, and I feel impotent as a board member because I cannot sway. I can't even talk to the CEO and explain myself and lay out a cogent argument on why we should be competitive with Tiger Point, which is our competitor. Dallas, I love you for lots of reasons, but you have got to grow some ears. Communications goes both ways, and I am tired of being told it's just business or, hey, I'm going to run this number and that's what it's going to be. We have got to take care of our customers. The pendulum has swung too far, and I'm very frightened that we are, as a board, are going to remain impotent. I'm sorry, that's all I've got to say.
All right, Director Dabney, I believe you were up.
So, Fred and I, we've not always seen eye to eye, but I can say it like this. You know, in one ear, we want to hear about how Hoyne-Navarro Water needs to be run as a business. Anytime we run a business and you start to see the numbers go in the wrong direction, you raise the water rates. It's okay that you guys agree with us to raise the water rates when we put it out on the table. We're going to raise the rates. There's no complaining. But yet, we see a golf course that's not making money, hasn't generated money in years, without being supplemented through this board, the members, the staff, and all who's associated with this water system. But yet it's okay for us to raise our rates on the water and sewer, but raise the rates over at Hidden Creek, change the membership status of what the proper procedure.
Excuse me, sir.
It's been in the minutes from meetings board. We had a meeting on the 13th, I believe it was. And half the criteria that you monthly members were facing or were in part of was wrong. You should have never been given that opportunity. It's in the bylaws of Pauling the Bar Water. It's in the bylaws of Hidden Creek. We have meetings monthly that every single one of you that's here tonight can come. And we did a golf course update every month.
Our opinion goes in one ear and out the other.
I understand what you're
Allowed
saying,
that.
but you're not listening to what I'm saying. When the negative is the negative, it's still the negative. If the golf course is in the negative and us, decide to say, hey, we've got to do something different and run this like a business, rather than a supplemental income coming from you members of the water systems. We own the golf course. Y'all own the golf course. Period. At the end of the day, if it doesn't make money, what do you do when you do a business? What do you do? You sell it or get rid of it.
No.
Or you raise the rates. One of two things.
But they're spending their offer to raise the rates. That's the thing, is we got letters saying you're done.
Let me ask you one
Okay.
question. How much does the water company pay the golf course before they bought it?
And I'm gonna stop you there, Mr. Scruggs, because again, this is we're at the board discussion part
My whole
now.
point is, we had a meeting about this, and Fred wants to say what Fred wants to say. That's fine. We all laid this out on the table. We sat here for 4.5 hours, 5 hours. I can't come to every meeting. You know why? Because I have a business to run.
But they haven't shared anything with the members.
But
Hey, again, public,
so what? Like
allow James to finish.
So bottom line is,
Excellent, right out there. In other words, our opinion of.
Mr. Scruggs, allow
So the
Director to have
bottom
me
line
finish.
we're here tonight, from what I understand, to talk about this, put it out in the public ears and eyes, but yeah, we're going to get criticized for not doing it. We're trying to do it right now. We're here tonight to talk about it and understand what we were talking. Am I wrong on that point?
Yes, you are wrong. It's not on the agenda.
We are here to talk about exactly what Dr. Peavy has said. The two decisions on the golf course, are we keeping it or are we selling it? Okay? And then the other one is if we're keeping it, we have legal restructuring.
I mean, at the end of the day, there's how many members on there? 141? How many members we got? 141? I think my last check. But I'm asking the question, 141?
Well, Mr. Dabney, ultimately, again, we.
I mean, I get it. I'm just saying. I don't think Mr. Peavy, when somebody comes up and personally attacks him, he answers to us. He doesn't do anything without us knowing it's going on. The last time we have issues, he's going to answer to the board, because that's who is in charge of him. And the board answers to you guys. If you don't think we're doing a good job, hey, come up and say, hey, I don't think you're doing a good job. I understand your point, I'm not here all the time, but I still read everything these guys read.
Okay.
So Jane, do you tell us that the letter that I think we need to be sent out?
Excuse me, sir. Again, we're not going to go back and forth here. You've had your.
Ready to move on.
I'm just saying,
Yes.
guys, it's a business. Again, it's one side. We're all trying to get to that point.
Yes, that's correct.
We know we have a problem. Y'all know we have a problem. Every month, the financials are here. Cindy presented them forever and ever.
All right, that's enough. All right, gentlemen. Ultimately, we have in front of us a recommendation from the CEO to sell or keep the golf course. Do I have a motion?
Wait.
The recommendation was to.
Are we all not going to?
Oh, I am so sorry. You're absolutely right. You want to go, Mark?
Yeah, I do want to go.
I apologize.
Okay, so I went back and watched the video of where this board tasked Dr. Peavy with coming back to this board with options. And the motion that was made is that he will come back with any and all options regarding the golf course, whether it be, sell, keep, whatever, have somebody manage it. But I clarified with that motion that no action would be taken. Now, to eliminate memberships and eliminate approximately $300,000 worth of revenue from the budget of the golf course, to eliminate them without the board having any say in that, to me, was not what Dr. Peavy was tasked to do at that meeting. We gave 90 days, and this is the 90 days. So tonight, we're looking at those options, but in my opinion, the membership should not have been eliminated without board approval.
And Mark, if you read the letter,
We will no longer renew or make any new, and no longer means there will no longer be memberships there. So that letter was very.
that may have been what the inference was from some people.
I read the letter. I can pull it up on my phone, but it says we will no longer be offering new memberships or renewing memberships. So I want to make it clear that our intent as a board is to offer memberships at some level or at some point, because that's a big portion of the revenue. That's the meat and potatoes of the golf course. And if we are going to run it, we do need to offer memberships. I agree, the memberships in the form that they were being managed and run was not profitable, and we've got to make some changes to that. But I think it needs to be clear that if we are going to keep this golf course and run it ourselves, that memberships will be part of that. And that's my say on that.
Okay. Great. Thank you, sir.
Nobody out here has a problem with paying higher monthly dues if we have the same amenities that the other golf courses in the area have.
Right.
Right now, we don't. No restaurant. You gotta sit outside in the cold evening.
Right.
We got those amenities. I don't mind paying that.
Okay. Director Thiel, anything?
I think most of it's been said. I think we're all kind of living in a vacuum right now because we haven't orchestrated to you the way ahead. I've looked at what the plans are, and they haven't been made public yet, but I assure you there's going to be an opportunity to be members. You're not going to like the price, but we're priced it so that we can at least be profitable to some extent, to have enough money to keep upgrading the course, fixing the tee boxes, keeping the greens the way they are, solving the water problem that we got that floods every time it rains hard. But we're going to have to increase, because we haven't had increases in membership dues I think it's been 10 years, sir. Okay? If we'd have just did $10 a month for those 10 years, that would have been like an 80% increase. That's probably what's going to be required. We don't know what's going to be required yet because we're still working it. But we got to run the numbers to figure it out. And we're working that very hard. And I think you will be the dumpster fire that was started because of the rumor mill and Twitter and Facebook and yada, yada, yada.
It was a letter. It was a letter.
I know, but you guys poured gasoline on it. So that's all I'm going to say.
Don't blame anyone else.
Hang on. All right. So I'll have my little 2 cents, and then we'll go into has everybody had a say here? All right. First and foremost.
It's our fault.
No, it's not. I didn't say that.
Absolutely.
It's not your fault.
So, from my perspective, and I fully believe that the board is 100% behind this, we will do everything that is in the best interest of the asset to bring value to Holly Navarre water system, the golf course, and its community. All right? Hang on. It's not. And so, that also means, again, a huge part of this is a community. I echo what Bill has said. Now, what we are here today to do is to vote, keep it or sell it. From there is when and it won't be tonight. So if you guys are hoping to have a full-blown laid out plan, it is not going to happen. The only thing we're doing tonight is whether or not we're going to keep it and sell it. And then in the future, everything's going to come out as far as memberships, payments, options, amenities. But We haven't even planned to buy it, keep it or not. So this is where we're going to be right now. So I'm just, well, the plan right now is again, just whether or not we're going to keep it or sell it. Because if we're going to sell it, anyway, I understand on the letter. So understood.
Can I ask one just real simple question?
Yes, Bob.
There was a 90-day plan to say what we're going to do. This is what the question is, to sell it or keep it. We took 3 months to come up with this question.
There was also the option of having an outside firm manage it.
Yes, sir. I
So
mean,
there were basically 3 options.
all of that is fully vetted and everything like that, sir. I mean, it takes a while. We're not going to go back and forth again. Yes, sir. You have that absolutely that right. All right. So everybody's had a.
How much you paid before you bought a golf course to spray fluid? Zero.
No, sir. All right. What do I have a motion for the golf course?
I will make a motion on the recommendation of the staff that we maintain and self-manage the golf course until at such time they meet those criteria as an unsolicited offer or it becomes more than what we would pay for the spray field.
Okay. I have a motion. Do
That's
I have
too
a
much
second?
for you, but that's it.
Second.
I'll second that.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. We will be keeping the golf course. All right.
As
a golf
As a
course.
golf course. All right. Now,
No.
it is just as important to us that this is a golf course and and that it is a business. So I ask you, so first step, we're keeping it. Next step, more information coming out to you guys so that you'll know where we're going in terms of everything that you've asked tonight. I know, Ron, you have one question.
So how are we going to do with the 2 board members? If we are still going to do a plan, why was there such a hurry to get rid of members immediately?
Well, also, and this will be the last thing. Those plans, they weren't valid plans. So by the bylaws, they weren't valid. So if you have a bad business process, should we continue the bad business process or nip it in the bud? So anyway, it was nipped in the bud. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's where we're at. So no more questions. That's where we're at.
Is communication going to come out from the members saying that that was not right? That wasn't viable? We're not canceling memberships? Or are we canceling?
Sir, what's coming next will be everything that you're going to need to know to be what we hope are happy members. I know we have not made you happy. We will work to making this. We all want to do this together. All right. I even said it earlier today. These are going to be growing pains. We're all going to go through it. You're mad at us. I get it. But we're going to get through this together because we are a community. You're welcome to be mad at me as much as you want, but we will get through this to where, again, this asset is a value both to our Holly Navarro water system members and the community. All right, on to the next thing. Yes, sir. All right. And then the next option is the legal restructuring. Dr. Peavy.
President and board, we have legal counsel here to discuss that. On the 13th. The legal counsel, Mr. Dunaway.
Thank you, Dr. Peavy, Mr. President, members of the board. I was asked to review the corporate documents of the club at Hidden Creek LLC. The club at Hidden Creek is the entity that owns and operates the golf course. According to the Articles of Incorporation and Organization of the LLC, which was filed with the Secretary of State in 2012, the articles show that the Holly Navarro Water System Incorporated, of which you are the board members and operate, is the sole member and owner of that LLC. However, what appeared to have been a clerical error is that with the Sunbiz information, Sunbiz is the website in which you go to find out information about corporate structure. The only member that was listed was Director James Dabney. At the direction of the board, I corrected that, and Holly Navarre Water System is shown as it is legally proper according to the Articles of Organization. So the Holly Navarre Water System, Inc. is the sole member owner of the LLC. I was then further directed to look at how the club operated. What are the operating documents? The documents which are called, labeled as home club, bylaws, rules, and regulations, which were adopted effective March the 1st of 2014, are the only documents that operate or that document how the club is to operate. There's been some discussion about the types of membership, the way that is operated. That is what these, what are labeled home club bylaws. It is those documents that you have to look to. So when you look to that, they're really how you operate the golf club, not how you operate the LLC. So that being the case, it appears that there is no operating agreement for the LLC. So that is the recommendation coming to you for the enactment and approval of an operating agreement for the club at Hidden Creek LLC. You've been provided with a copy of that document. It is a standard operating agreement specifically tailored to the operation of the club and the LLC. It generally calls for, and again, this is at the board discretion, is how you organize the entity, but the recommendation is that you appoint a board of managers of that club. The recommendation is that those board of managers consist of a positional authority of your water system CEO, your general manager of the club at Hidden Creek, and a selected board member whom you may decide. The other issues of note in the operating agreement is that it is recommended that you limit the authority of your board of managers to certain specific issues, and that you retain the authority ultimately to, and this comes from section 8.3, you require, or you retain the authority to require additional capital contribution, to make any distributions, to remove a manager, to incur any debt, obviously to admit a new member. There is a recommendation, which I know Director Campbell had some questions, which I provided additional information on, as to how much of the assets of the company the board of managers could, and that's open to your debate and authority. It also indicates that there would not be the authority of your board of managers to make any single expenditure greater than $25,000. That's consistent with your Holly Navarre Water Board policies now. So the recommendation is that you put this this agreement in place, that you appoint one of your board members to serve as that sitting manager, and then direct other further authorities you need necessary to control the LLC.
Can I ask one question?
Well, you
Let me
can
ask one question.
you just ask me and I'll say yes.
Oh, I mean, I'm sorry, I meant,
Are you, I'm sorry, Mr. Dunaway, are you done?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Director
where it says manager by manager, the manager really is a board of managers.
Correct.
In the context of the three people you enunciated.
Correct, and that's then, you see that,
Yeah, I see, yeah, I've got it here, but here's the
7.1.
question, this authority. Phil, president of Messi, can you and your board sell Messi?
No, of course not.
Then I don't understand why they would have full power to sell that asset.
And I'm gonna actually call to Joe, if you don't mind, because
Okay.
we're gonna go we'll go left to right here, but Joe is
So-
kind of, if you'll follow through the questions.
Right, so you're talking about 8.3F, where the managers, without member approval, can approve a single expenditure of $25,000. The part I disagreed with, where it sells a substantial portion of the assets of 30%. I disagree with that, because in essence, this board of managers could sell the clubhouse, and then the operating is done. So I don't think the managers, if we go this route, should have that. I would like to propose that it would be reduced to the same for the single expenditure to $25,000, unless somebody else has a different thing. And Will kind of said this was just generic. That was kind of one of the things that I just thought it was too much for this without, it's the water system asset.
Well, I agree, yeah, I would never vote for that.
I actually would suggest we actually remove that altogether. They don't sell one iota, is my opinion.
Well, they
Unless
should be
there's a
able to
legal-
liquidate a certain amount of, like old golf clubs or something like that,
Old equipment.
Which is where I get that 25, if they can unbudget it again.
Good point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the 25,000. It's the same as the spending limit. It gives them, freedom to operate without having to come to the board for everything, every asset they need to liquidate or sell. So I agree with the 25,000.
Mr. President, I was looking at 7.1, bold H B, bold H I, where the manager has full power authority to conduct the business of the company without limitation, the power to set. Well, that's got to be stricken based on this conversation. So any motion has got to include those changes.
I'm sorry, which one?
Article 7, management, 7.1, management by manager. Bold H B is the authority of the manager. And then bold H I, the manager shall have full power and authority to conduct the business of the company, including without limitation, power to sell. That needs to be stricken as well.
And I'll ask Mr. Dunaway, do you see where he's talking about on 7.1I?
I do. And
Does it need to be in there to be able to sell, say, 25,000 of, say, old equipment or something?
correct. The 7.1 B Romanet 1, Director Trustlewood, that authority to sell is not to sell the asset of the club, that is the property. It would go to those retained, and the example would be, let's say you were selling a golf cart, or you were selling a ice machine that you were replacing, or something like that. You have the power to sell, purchase, invest, reinvest assets of the company. Obviously, that's subject to the limitation of 8.3. And as Director Campbell noted, that if you made that 30%, or if you made that the 25,000, then that would be consistent with your, if you took out the power to sell, then you would have to come back here to the board to get authority to make any sale of any asset.
Could you
Truck
just
or
add the
golf
language?
course
The
or
scary word is immediately before that says without limitation.
Yeah.
And that is an asset as a whole, without limitation. To me, I'm no legal genius.
I'd say strike that and put subject to the limits in
Yeah,
section,
can we do that or something?
in
I mean,
Article
just
8.
to clarify it.
That's already in that paragraph. Subject to any action set forth in 8.3, which sets the limits.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we set the 25,000 limit of selling.
In
assets,
8.3, then it covers.
That means what you're talking about.
In B,
Oh, okay, I see it. Yeah.
subject to 8.3.
But, yeah, I'd like that without limitation out of there.
Is that?
It's
Okay.
still legally sufficient.
Was there any, do you remember the other, you want to run us through those questions that we all kind of?
Will answered all the other ones. It was just lawyer speak versus Joe Campbell speak. So the only other recommendation, at least until we have it properly vetted above manager, the interim, is I would like to see 2 directors and the CEO on this.
I agree completely.
Yeah, I do too.
Wasn't that brought up at our meeting that that wasn't allowed based off of one of the Florida statutes or something? Was there something
Well,
Thank you for that question. It was not recommended. It is allowed, it is not recommended. The direction was that we put in place a management structure for the LLC, which allowed for you to have, for them to have more independence from the board, subject to the limitations that you gave. It is a legal decision if that's what you so chose.
I agree, though. I'd rather see two directors and the CEO rather than the manager of the club, the general manager of the club.
Until such a time as we have a true professional. I might.
Somewhere in here it says we can appoint different managers.
At any time.
Yes.
Anytime, that's true.
Again, I will just ask the question, the pitfalls of having two directors on that board.
I don't see any.
Okay. Okay. All right.
How do we approach those changes?
Will, I mean,
Mr. President, the changes can be affected by making a motion to adopt as has been discussed in amendments. The amendments that I have recorded, and of course the record would show, but the amendments that I've recorded based on the discussion are the striking of the word, well, it would also be the commas, without limitation in 7.1 Bravo Romanet 1, without limitation. It would be the change in substituting the club manager in 7.1C, which would place the club manager with two members.
Two directors of the member duly elected
Right.
and the CEO.
Well, would you also need to adjust the minutes, item 2A?
The minutes will be, that's correct, Director Miller, the minutes will be reflected, but the record will reflect the minutes, and we'll make sure those minutes were provided for you to, so that we could have a coordinated script.
Got you.
With regards to the activity that the actions that you're taking. The other place, let me make sure, is in 8.3, and
I have a question on 8.1, Will.
yes.
I don't understand the legalese and all that. When you get to if you substitute the manager is now, we've determined is this three-person panel. That is the definition of the manager, right?
Yes, sir.
In the definition of the member, there's only one member, that's the Holly by the
That's
Bar
you,
Water
the
System.
board.
Okay, but I read that, and again, my law degree is someplace at Yale yet, because I haven't stopped by to pick it up and didn't earn it either. But I don't read it, it's gobbledygook to me, so can you go over that and tell me what that all means?
Yes, sir, I can, and that was the subject of one of Director Campbell's questions too. If you read 8.1 and 8.2, the intent of that is to provide this board, not the Board of Managers, with more flexibility. And it provides this board the ability not to have to meet to authorize or direct action of your Board of Managers. So for instance, in the action of written consent, what it's saying is that the member, that's you're the single member, is authorized to take any action which you are authorized to take, which is any action. And you can do that without a meeting and without prior notice. Now, in your unique situation, that's the way all LLCs would be structured. In your unique situation, since you are a public-facing board, you can't meet without notice. You have a different rule. So in effect, that is not ever going to happen. You won't be able to make a decision because you will not have met without having had a noticed meeting. So it doesn't have to be in there. It was just for your flexibility and protection. So for instance, you could have this meeting, for instance, and you could get a report from your managers on something, and then you could have a decision that you wanted them to carry out. You could do that with a written consent.
Okay. Glasses fog over anyway.
So that just allows us a little more flexibility to be able to give direction to the three-panel board, the three-person board for Hidden Creek.
Correct, because you are the owner of the LLC. So ultimately, all decision is here with this board. And you can direct whatever action you choose.
You can only direct that during a formal meeting.
Yeah, which is consistent with
Okay.
your other rules, and you
Okay.
can only do that.
I didn't read it that way, but
Yes, sir.
take your word for it.
And then, again, back to two board members on the board versus is not. There, I guess I'm just looking for any pitfalls in terms of legalese pitfalls.
The only pitfall legally, and it's, I'm doing the math, I actually don't see that it would happen. The only issue is if you got down to where two became a quorum, and you would have to go down to three board members. So let's, for instance, say you had, everybody sold their house and moved their family, like Director Dress is leading, and you were down to three board members of the Holly Navarre Water System Board. Two of you are now on as the LLC. Your meeting as the LLC is also your meeting as the water board, because you're a quorum of that board.
I forget that.
And so it is a long shot, but that's what lawyers do, try to eliminate long shots. And you do that by only having one of you, because you can't have a quorum of one. If you're down to one board member, we're in big trouble.
Gotcha. Okay, I get that now, right. Okay, any further,
But that doesn't change our thought on it. I mean, I appreciate the advice. But we're gonna have two, I'm gonna vote only if it says two directors, board of director, two members of our body on that.
I believe whoever makes a motion,
Is that your motion?
is that your motion?
No.
Is that your motion?
Well, I'll entertain a motion if we're ready to go, if everybody's discussed it.
I'll make a motion. I make a motion that we adopt, let's see what we're calling this again.
The operating agreement.
The operating agreement for the club at Hidden Creek LLC, with the recommended changes that the board has gone through and that Will has just confirmed.
And Director Miller, if I could ask, will you also add to that motion to direct the president to execute once it's back to him?
Yeah, amend the motion to add that the president is authorized to sign this operating agreement once it's amended and back to him.
Okay, I have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a second.
Okay, just to clarify, the two conditions you're talking about amending is to change 7(1)(c) to make it two directors and the CEO, vice as currently written. And the other one is to limit the approval authority for expenditures to $25,000.
There's one other change.
7.1 without limitation, I believe.
Yeah, we're going to strike the words without limitation.
And how about 8F, to sell 30% of the,
That was part of it, 8.3, to limit that to 25,000.
okay, but there's 25,000 in one place, and there's 30% in the other. So the 7F need to go away, Will? 8.3F?
It can be accomplished by either deleting subparagraph F or putting in, instead of a percentage, putting in the term 25,000.
My vote's to just delete it, because it's confusing, because you got to put two different numbers in one place. If you leave it 25,000 in, then that's that.
The difference, Dr. Thiel, is that the limitation on the expenditure is that's the 25,000 to expend it. The limitation in F is to get rid of an asset graded. So the example was if we were getting rid of old golf balls, it would have to come back here. But so if you want it, if your intent is to allow the managers the authority to get rid of an asset up to 25,000, then we would put 25,000
Okay.
where it says 30%.
In lieu of 30%.
So let it be written, so let it be done.
Right.
Yeah.
So is that okay with you?
That's okay with me.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify what
All
exactly.
right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And Mr. President,
Yeah, yes, sir, I'm sorry. We're on
On this board of managers, I don't know how the voting will go, if there is any kind of voting, but would it be possible to have a golfer as a non-voting member, just as an advisory, somebody representing the actual golfers at the board?
I don't believe that this board would entertain that idea, would they?
no, but I can answer in talking with the CEO that in the old bylaws, it was there. So I guess my expectation was these managers are seated, they redo the bylaws, and that's already in the old bylaws, so.
Yeah, I believe the answer is no, Mr. Nitro. All right,
I would say this, though.
But it will be in the bylaws if they will.
Yeah.
The board will take
Any
the advice.
member that has any issues can feel free to come to a board member or manager and say, hey, I've got a problem with this or that. I mean, that's how the club gets better, is taking feedback from members and players.
Would those meetings be announced on the website and things like that?
no, I mean, ultimately, these meetings will not be announced. I mean,
How
ultimately,
would you know it's coming?
well, you're gonna be coming to the managers the chain of command, right, is always still gonna be the same. Your GM, your CEO, or in this case, so the GM's gonna be the first one, and then the GM will roll up to the board of managers, and the board of managers will wind up rolling up to the board. So any concerns you have will always start with the general manager.
But it may be a concern about what's being considered by the board of managers. We won't know what that is.
Well, then you would, in what sense? Anyway.
I think he needs to hold that thought.
Huh?
I would recommend that the gentleman hold that thought.
Okay. All right. On what sense? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Daryl Lynchard, 6539 Avenida de Galvez. I guess we can still talk before you guys vote on
Absolutely,
something.
I jumped the gun.
And I think there may be some confusion in the crowd as to what these managers actually do. The managers of the LLC are the ones that actually do the day-to-day business of the LLC. So it's not really a customer service type arrangement, which may be what the concerns of the people are. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch. Okay. Any further discussions? All right. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
Mr. President, since we've approved that, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Joe Campbell and Bill Field as the name managers of the club of the LLC.
Okay.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Do we have
I want to
any?
be a part of that, so I don't know how that would work.
I'm sorry, what's that?
I want to be a part of that management team.
James, I appreciate that, but I know you're how busy you are with your business, and I really appreciate it. And I know I can't imagine having a business where you can't get it in. So I think we got the right two guys on there. It's not an affront to you. I'm glad to see a couple golfers stamping up to sit in that pool.
Well, I think in the same respect, I don't think there should be two golfers on a management team that one has basically your best interest is the golf course, whereas I'm a businessman. I want to run it as a business. I don't think we should put two golfers on a membership team, on a management team. I disagree with that.
And I want to run it as a business too. Some of the questions I've asked and.
I mean, ultimately, again, right now, we have a motion on the table, which if it gets voted down, then something else. Does anybody else have I'm sorry, Mr. Dabney, are you done?
I
don't
mean,
wanna-
I'm opposed to it. I mean, I don't know, how, how this has already been brought up. The other day, we were talking about it.
Mhm.
So I'm asking the question of why are we putting two, earlier the discussion was, it was a conflict of interest. I don't know if it is or isn't, but we should have a board member who's not a member at Hollywood or of Hidden Creek versus two members who are members at Hidden Creek.
Does anybody else have any comments?
I mean, where do we stand on the legal aspect of that?
You have a problem with that, Will, from a legal standpoint?
Is the question whether there's a conflict of interest for a Holly Navarre board member to sit as a manager of the LLC at the Hidden Creek?
Yes.
There is not a conflict.
Do you have a copy of the current board code of conduct, Will?
We do have.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah,
I'm
we do
sorry.
have copies
Yes.
of it.
You have a current copy of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanna make sure.
Yes, sir, we did.
Call
Thank
for
you.
the vote.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. No further discussion?
So let me ask a question. Can we have four members? We talked about it earlier. I want to be the fourth member.
Well,
When we talked about it earlier, we said there's no issues with it. We didn't oppose it. I want to be the fourth member.
we've already motioned for the first part, and this is a motion for the second part. So,
I want to reopen it up and say I want to have a motion to go back and redo that.
well, this motion right now is the one that's on the table. So this board will vote on that motion and then,
The problem with that, James, the only problem with that is now if you got three board of director members on there, once Mr. Director Teresa resigns, because he has to, because he's leaving, we now have a quorum, so whenever that meets, it counts as a board meeting.
And you'd have a 2-2 rather than an odd number. So if you're making a decision on something, it's, you may get a unanimous on everything, but you may have a split vote on that. And so
Well, we
then
didn't have an issue with it 20 minutes ago. We were okay with having four people on there.
No, we were talking about three.
GM and we were talking about four. We were talking about a GM and two board members.
The other part of it is at any time the board is.
not the GM.
The GM was taken off.
The GM is taken off.
So the other part of that, and to James' point, is that if the board here at Holly Navarre Water System is displeased with those managers, you can replace those managers at the next meeting.
Absolutely.
So I hear what you're saying, but I want it to be succeed. If I want a Holly Navarre Water System.
I think anybody sitting here wants to stay golf course.
There's three nominations, he wants to nominate himself. So vote on one at a time.
oh, okay. Well, right now what we have
I mean,
is,
it's obvious there's no sense in voting. I mean, this was decided way before I got here. So,
I didn't decide anything.
No decision made.
When the motion was made, I know that both Joe and Bill are longtime members, players. They understand the operations of the club. I think they would be good people to be in that manager position.
But I've also sat in that audience.
That's
Holly
right.
Navarre Water System for the last 7 years on that side because I cared about the water system. So
Right.
well, okay. So we have a motion. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Those that oppose, say no. Is that no? Okay, that's a no. All right, so one no. All right, motion carries.
so we are not going to open it back up to having four members on the board.
No, sir. I mean, you are welcome to make a motion, but then you'll have to get a second to make it. All right.
Mr. President, may I ask one further point, and this comes from, this is the very last number 5 on the minutes, and that is, could I have authorization of the board to update Sunbiz with the actions that have been taken with regard to the club at Hidden Creek?
Would someone please make a motion to authorize someone? to do
Yes. Make a motion that Will is authorized to update Sunbiz with this new information that we've got approved here
Second.
tonight.
that? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Engineering.
3 items. You may have noticed from the report that's included on the wastewater treatment plant that I picked back up again this past month with all the rain to 163,000 gallons a day on average. And I would suggest this month is going to also indicate high again. Fortunately, it's not as bad as it was there for a while, but we'll see just how bad it is if the rain continues this month. Second item is, and I'm surprised Fred didn't mention it, but we do have the 60% set design plans for the Eglin project sitting here on the table. If anyone would like to peruse them, we're going to be giving them back the comments tomorrow and turning them loose to proceed with the next phase, which is essentially a 90% set of plans. So that's ongoing. We have also been in discussions with the group. It's no longer called Navarre Beach Crossings here at 8798. The agreement is now with the would be with the development group that is actually purchasing or buying out the rights to the property that is initially developing the apartments. Had a meeting with those guys the other day. They showed us their kind of updated plan for development of the site. Still accommodating us in the same location per the board's approval of the tentative agreement that has already been made. Right now, Will's partner is reviewing the language in the lease, the comments that they have sent back, and I would expect next month we'll be asking the board again to approve any modified language to that lease with that party. So moving forward on that one as well. And I didn't see anything in the proposed change of language in the lease that would cause me any concern, so.
Any discussions from the board? All right. Well, before we move to open forum, I would like to give Director Teresa a little. Director Teresa will be leaving us, and this will be his last meeting. He's going to be moving. So, would you like to say a few words, sir?
Pretty much said all I got to say. Thank you very much. Appreciated the opportunity to serve.
Well, I will tell you that he and I got on this 2 years ago together. We ran together, and some days it's been a slugfest, and some days it's been not so much. You know, I mean, this is democracy, right? I mean, this is the way it goes. And he is a bulldog. He looks like a bulldog, and forever will be for me a valued director. So,
and friend.
Fred, I'd like to thank you for your service. I want to thank you for your passion that you brought to this board. I want to thank you for all of the efforts you put into on those visioning exercises that we've done over the years. I mean, those were really well done and well put together. So we're losing a very good board member. Hate to see you leave us, but I understand sometimes life takes you in different directions.
Does anybody in the public like to speak? Yes, sir, Mr. Williamson.
Good evening, Director Teresa. I had to come down tonight to say thank you, and I wanted to get my comments on the record to just say thank you for your service, and I echo what Director Miller said, that your passion, your enthusiasm, it's infectious, your compassion, the way you care for what you do, and I remember your first meeting. I think you were sitting where Director Miller is sitting now, and you made your first motion, and that motion was you wanted to hire legal counsel to investigate the hiring of that SOB Williamson. And I thought, man, I am in trouble. This guy's tough. But every day from then to now, having the opportunity to see your leadership style, your quality, the way that you care about what you do, being part of some of those visioning sessions and knowing the challenges that you have faced behind the scenes. And it's just a privilege to call you a friend. And, when you came on to this water system, they had been talking about Eglin for 20 years. And during your time of sitting on this board, that has moved forward. We've heard about the golf course, how there was a subsidy of over $500,000, and now it's down to below $200,000. There was dead weight and deadbeats here that are no longer working here. And you have helped shepherd in a lot of that change, you and the other board members that are here. And I just think of the line from Roosevelt that it's not the critic who counts. It's not the doer of deeds or the one who thought he could do them better, something along those lines, but it's the man in the arena, and each of you are in the arena. And Fred, we're better off for your time in the arena, and I'll miss you, bud.
Oh, sure. Director Thiel?
I would just ask that the passion that was shown tonight for the golf course, that you give this newly appointed management structure for the golf course a chance to come out with some solid policies that you can take to the bank before you pour the gasoline out of the can, okay? Any more gasoline out of the can.
Thank you. And Ms. Carmen, are you here to speak on behalf for Director Teresa?
No, you asked for public forum.
Not yet. I'm almost there, but you will
Okay.
you just stay right there.
Sorry.
Just as a reminder, and I'm saying this to the directors as well, with Director Teresa leaving now, that means that we're going to have 2 spots open up here for appointment. So we will make the offer again to the community that if you are interested in an appointment, to be able to get in touch with our vetting chair, Mr. Miller, to be able to get a bio, a chance for the board to be able to vet you and everything like that. It's for, yes, Joe, you seem to have a question.
Yeah, did that committee make contact? That's why it's not on our agenda.
Just ask him that. He did, and he's not interested. He's got a new job.
Yeah, he started a new job and,
Thank you.
So we would be very happy for, you don't like us? Come join us. To be able to then, again, get with Mr. Miller, and then that way we can try to fill the 2 seats. I'm hoping next meeting of next month, okay? All right, we are on to public forum. Ms. Reynolds.
Carmen Reynolds, Sunnybrook Drive, Navarre member. I'll run through these really quick. As you and the audience may or may not know, this was the first of the Land Development Code updates. We're in the final stages of the finalizing that since 1991. That's where I just came from. It's lasted most of the day. I had to leave early. You may or may not have a heads up on this, but they are discussing adding water as a utility for franchise fees. I closed the loop with the Northwest Florida Water Management District, and they find no shortage of water in the aquifer, which was identified at a prior BOCC meeting. So they, bottom line, have no reports or nothing to verify that. So they're the daddy rabbit on the water. So ran that to ground. Also today, there's going to be 266 acres that Gulf Power, north of Highway 90, is going to be installing solar panels, and that will be on the ridge line between the Blackwater and the Yellow River watersheds. They were extremely disappointed that they extended an invitation to this particular water system and all water systems, but they did not have an attendance from Holly Navarre Water, so I told them I would pass this on tonight. For the sewer customers, we're almost in the hurricane season. And that means that just like Hurricane Sally and the extended power outages where Whispering Pines, we have 5 lift stations out there. And unfortunately, the sewer customers don't really know that they can't unlimitedly flush their toilets during these storm seasons, especially if there's no power. So I'm asking the water system to start some PR with hurricane prep so that we don't have sewage spillage in many areas coming up to this. The people in the audience made comments about, what about this donation? And I always see the glass half full, excuse me, yep, half full, not half empty. And just like the donations last year where they raised the money at the golf course and they gave the money to the fire department, which was needed, and to the, I think it was the Special Ops Warrior Fund, the audience comes in, they have no idea what's going on. They, I was at the prior board meeting, but I didn't know what was going on. So I think they registered a good suggestion tonight that could be implemented for better communication, which brings me to the significant communication, substantive things that I end up having to work. Who do you want me to contact? Who is my belly button when I need a piece of information? Do I go to the CEO, Dr. Peavy, or do I go to the board director? What am I supposed to do?
It would definitely be the CEO.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So just again to reiterate, right? Board functions at the high level, and the CEO is day-to-day, everything else.
Okay, and for it to be effective, it has to be two-way, so, okay. And hopefully with regard to communication, the problem with the audio, when the people can watch this from home on the streaming, I believe you have a YouTube channel. Dr. Peavy said the staff was working on that. Has that been rectified yet? Do we know?
We put in a purchase order for that system to upgrade what we have.
So is when I try to listen to what I missed the first 4 minutes tonight, will I be able to hear it audibly, or is it not fixed yet?
It's not fixed yet until we receive the system and install it.
Okay, thank you. Finally, conservation program. The Midwest right now is looking at a lack of snowpack. They're looking at going into mandatory conservation measures. Water is a gift, and I'm just suggesting again that the system embark on a conservation program with PR for the community, because we never know when we're going to have an extended drought, and that our aquifer, our sand and gravel aquifer, is going to be under duress. Does that mean that Williams Creek, the ribs there, will be staying, or will they be going away when the ribs at Eglin property is enacted?
Oh, I'm not sure. Ultimately, at the end of the day, for that question, can you just send an email to Dr. Peavy to?
Okay.
For that
Well, we thought the spray fields were all going to go up there to the Eglin property. Tonight, we learned that they're not. So then I thought, well, does that mean that the ribs at Williams Creek putrefying the marsh grasses and going out to the sound is going to stay? Thank you.
Thank you so much. And again, just for clarification on Hidden Creek, unless I'm missing something, Hidden Creek is primary in terms of our spray field.
Yeah, I don't think Carmen was speaking to Hidden Creek. I think she was speaking to the Grass Commission.
Gotcha, okay. So even going forward, even though that we'll have Eglin ribs, the golf course will be primary, and as we said, we can't get rid of it. Even if we could, it's close to an $8 to $10 million investment. All right. I will entertain the idea of motion to adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.